What would you do if the one person you sacrificed everything for turned around and called you a failure? Would you fight back? Scream? Break down? Or would you simply let silence speak for you? Late at night, a message arrives, casual, almost careless, but what it contains slices deeper than any knife. On the screen, laughter echoes, glasses clink, and cruel words fall like poison. Words that were never meant to be heard. Words that cannot be unheard. But sometimes, the most painful betrayals don't end in confrontation. They begin with a quiet decision. Don't look away now, this is where everything starts to change. The small apartment smelled faintly of lavender and dish soap, a scent that clung to the woman who had just returned home after her second shift. Her hands were still dry from the sanitizer, her shoulders tight from standing 12 hours straight. She dropped her keys into the bowl by the door, toed off her shoes, and let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. A single ping broke the silence. She reached for her phone, expecting a spam message or maybe an update from her sister. But her thumb paused over the screen. "Watch this," the message read. Below it, a video thumbnail. Ivy. Laughing. She pressed play. There her daughter was, sitting in their living room, the same one she had worked 3 years to afford. A half-full glass of wine in her hand, feet curled on the couch like she owned the world. Beside her, Carla grinned with the same carefree arrogance. "My mom." Ivy scoffed in the video. "Please. She's pathetic. Like, she works herself like a dog and still can't get anywhere. Who does that? It's embarrassing." Carla laughed. "You're brutal." "No, I'm honest. She's a loser. Always has been." The screen went blurry as the phone slipped slightly in her trembling hand. She didn't say anything. Not at first. She simply stood there, frozen in the dim hallway light, the weight of her daughter's voice crashing down like a wave she'd never seen coming. Her sister's next message blinked beneath the video. I confronted her. She didn't deny it. Said she meant every word. Her thumb hovered. She could have replied. Could have demanded an explanation, cried, yelled, cursed. But instead, she walked down the hall like a ghost, phone still in hand, and stepped into the bathroom. The mirror stared back at her, tired, cracked lips, weary eyes rimmed with decades of sacrifice. She gripped the edge of the sink until her knuckles went white. The silence in the apartment was deafening now. She stared at her reflection, as if searching for the cracks her daughter had so easily pointed out. A loser. A dog. Pathetic. Her throat tightened, but she forced the tears back. Crying wouldn't fix this. Screaming wouldn't reach her. Ivy had already stopped listening. She turned off the bathroom light. The apartment was dark, except for the faint blue glow of the fridge. Ivy's laughter still echoed in her ears, even though the video was over. In the quiet, memories began to surface, uninvited and merciless. The first job, scrubbing floors at the hospital. She used to bring home leftover muffins from the nurses' lounge so Ivy could have a treat after school. The second job, overnight stocking at the grocery store. 12-hour shifts, 0 weekends, and calluses that never went away. She remembered rocking Ivy to sleep with blistered hands. Skipping dinner so her daughter could have a full plate. Buying thrift store clothes and cutting off the tags so Ivy wouldn't feel less than the other girls. All of it, every sacrifice, now reduced to mockery in a wine-soaked conversation. She sat down at the edge of her bed, staring at nothing. Then, slowly, something inside her shifted. The pain didn't fade, it hardened. If she thinks I'm a failure, let her try succeeding on her own. Not out of cruelty. Not out of spite. but because some lessons can't be taught with words. You want to live like an adult, she whispered to the dark. Then it's time you learned what that really means. No yelling. No lecture. No warning. Tomorrow, her daughter would wake up in a world that didn't come with free rides or safety nets. And maybe then, just maybe, she'd finally understand the value of everything she'd been handed so easily. The sun had already climbed halfway up the sky when Ivy finally dragged herself out of bed, hair tousled, mascara smudged from the night before. She yawned loudly, slipped on her silk robe, and sauntered into the kitchen like a queen expecting breakfast in bed. "Mom," she called out, voice still groggy, "can you give me your credit card? I want to order that espresso machine I told you about." Her mother didn't even turn around. She was washing a single mug at the sink, movements calm. Too calm. "No." Ivy blinked. "Wait, what?" "No," her mother repeated, wiping her hands dry. "From today on, you take care of yourself. No more money. No more credit cards. No more free living." There was a strange finality in her voice. Cold steel beneath the warmth Ivy was used to. A white envelope sat neatly on the kitchen table. Ivy picked it up, frowning. She pulled out the papers. A job application. A list of rental apartments. Bus routes. What the hell is this? Reality, her mother said, looking her straight in the eyes. Ivy laughed, a high, mocking sound. "You're kidding, right? Is this some weird life lesson thing?" "I'm not kidding. And it's not weird, it's overdue." Ivy slammed the papers down. "You can't do this to me. You're 24 years old, Ivy. This should have happened years ago." "Oh, I get it," Ivy snapped. "This is because of that stupid video, isn't it?" Her mother didn't answer. She didn't need to. Unbelievable. Ivy's voice cracked with frustration. "Fine. I'll just go live with Dad." Her mother let out a soft, bitter laugh. "Your dad? The man who disappeared when you turned 5? Who hasn't paid a cent since? Go ahead. Let me know how that works out." Ivy's hands curled into fists. She stormed out of the kitchen, slamming her bedroom door so hard the walls trembled. The next few days were a slap in the face, over and over again. She applied everywhere, boutiques, cafes, even a pet grooming place. But every time she said the words "I don't have any experience," the conversations ended with polite smiles and a quiet, "We'll keep your application on file." She toured apartments that smelled like mold and desperation, her stomach twisting when she heard the monthly rent. $1,500. For this, she gasped. "It's LA," the agent said, deadpan. "This is cheap." Her savings, what little there was, evaporated by day 5. On day 7, she skipped lunch. On day 10, she stopped turning on the air conditioner to save electricity. Reality wasn't just knocking. It had kicked down the damn door. She returned home. On the morning of day 11, she reached into the fridge and pulled out a yogurt. "That's $3, her mom said calmly from the kitchen table, reading the paper. Ivy paused mid-reach. "What? $3? If you want to eat that, you owe me." "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious. And if you want to use Wi-Fi today, it's $10 for the week. Due up front." Ivy threw the yogurt back inside, slamming the door. "You're being ridiculous." "No," her mother said, folding the newspaper with terrifying calm. "I'm just letting you pay for what you take. Isn't that what adults do?" That night, Ivy sat on her bed, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the job application she'd tossed aside a week ago. She was tired. broke. And for the first time in her life, scared in a way that felt real. She picked up her phone and called the number at the bottom of the paper. 3 days later, she pulled her hair into a ponytail, tied an apron around her waist, and stepped into the back door of a local cafe. The manager gave her a once-over. "You ever worked in food service?" "No," Ivy admitted, quietly. "But I can learn." He shrugged. "Start with wiping tables. You screw that up, you're out." By hour 2, her feet were killing her. By hour 4, she'd been yelled at by 2 customers, spilled a drink on a toddler, and was on the verge of crying. But when she dragged herself home, sweaty and sore, and saw her mom reading on the couch, she couldn't help muttering, "It's just waitressing. Why is it so freaking exhausting?" Her mom didn't look up. Now imagine doing it twice a day. For 20 years. Ivy didn't respond. But this time, she didn't argue. And for the first time in her life, she understood just how much she didn't understand. The high from getting her first paycheck didn't last long. Ivy sat on the edge of her bed, holding the crumpled slip of paper like it was a receipt for a life she never signed up for. After 2 weeks of aching feet, fake smiles, and customers who snapped their fingers at her like she was invisible, all she had to show for it was $348.19. She let out a hollow laugh. How the hell does anyone survive on this? Grabbing a notepad, she did something she never thought she'd do. She started calculating. Rent, $1,200 minimum, if she was lucky. Groceries, $70 a week, maybe more. Bus fare, $75 a month. Phone, toiletries, electricity. The numbers multiplied. Her balance didn't. She stared at the total. Her stomach dropped. "This isn't living," she whispered. "It's drowning." Slowly. The next morning, before her shift, she pulled out her laptop and began searching. Entry-level marketing jobs. Administrative assistant, no experience. Social media intern, paid. Every listing felt like it came with a wall she couldn't climb. Minimum 2 years experience. Bachelor's degree required. Portfolio preferred. "I have the damn degree," she muttered, "just not the 2 years of kissing corporate ass." Still, she kept applying. Sending resumes, rewriting cover letters, refreshing her email like her life depended on it. Because suddenly, it did. Over the next few weeks, something changed. She didn't sleep in anymore. The alarm rang at 6 a.m., and she was on her feet by 6:05. The girl who once spent $60 on brunch now brought PB&J sandwiches in a Tupperware box. The one who ordered designer shoes with her mom's card now taped up the soles of her old sneakers. Every penny mattered. Every choice had weight. She stopped rolling her eyes at receipts. Stopped tossing leftovers. Stopped wasting time. And for the first time in her life, she started saving, even if it was just $10 at a time, folded carefully into an envelope labeled future. One evening, after dinner, Ivy sat across from her mother in the living room. The TV was off. No distractions. Just them. She looked down at her hands, clean, no longer manicured, but rougher somehow. "Reela, I used to think you were weak," she said suddenly. "I thought you just didn't try hard enough to be something." Her mom looked up, surprised but silent. "But now I get it," Ivy continued, voice trembling. "You weren't weak. You were surviving. You gave up everything for me and never once asked for thanks." She swallowed hard. "You're not a failure, Mom. You're a warrior. And I was too blind to see it." Her mother didn't speak right away. She just leaned back in her chair and offered Ivy a long, deep smile. Not proud. Not smug. Just peaceful. As if she'd been waiting a long time for her daughter to find her way home. 3 months later, Ivy stood outside a glass office building, her reflection staring back at her from the door. She smoothed down her blazer, a cheap thrift store find that somehow made her feel like she belonged, and stepped inside. The receptionist smiled. "You must be Ivy Quinn. Welcome aboard." It wasn't glamorous. Just an entry-level marketing assistant job at a mid-sized firm. But it was in her field. And more importantly, it was hers. Earned. Not handed to her. That weekend, she came home holding a small white envelope. Her mother was in the kitchen, folding towels, always folding something, always moving. Ivy walked up, placed the envelope on the counter. "This is for you," she said softly. "My rent. For this month." Her mother didn't reach for it. She just looked at her daughter, her eyes softening. "No," she said. "Keep it. Use it to build something. A life. A future." Ivy blinked fast, swallowing the lump rising in her throat. She nodded, clutching the envelope to her chest like it suddenly weighed 100 pounds. Weeks passed. And when the time came, she signed the lease to a tiny apartment with peeling paint and squeaky floors, but it was hers. Every corner of it paid for with hours of sweat and a heart full of change. On the morning she moved out, the apartment felt strangely quiet. She stood by the doorway with her suitcase and a small box of books. Her mom stood beside her. For a second, neither spoke. Then, Ivy stepped forward and wrapped her arms around her mother. Tight. Real. No performance, no pretense, just pure, overdue love. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she whispered, voice breaking. Her mother clutched her just as tightly. "Thank you," she choked out, "for finally seeing me." Later that night, Ivy stood alone in her new place. No furniture yet. Just her, a mattress on the floor, and the hum of a tiny fridge. She sat by the window and watched the city breathe below. She thought about anger. About resentment. About how she once thought the only way to win was to wound. But now she knew the truth. The real revenge isn't shouting back. It's growing up. It's becoming better. Wiser. Stronger. It's realizing that sometimes, the people you hurt the most are the ones who were quietly saving you all along. And the only way to honor them is to finally stand on your own. A mother's love isn't always wrapped in sweet words. Sometimes, it comes in silence that weighs more than any shout. It's not punishment. It's preparation. Because the hardest lessons don't always come through anger. Sometimes, they arrive through quiet losses. A dinner you didn't have to cook. A roof you didn't pay for. A hug that used to be waiting, but isn't anymore. And only when you're forced to walk through the storm on your own, do you finally look back and see her. Not as the failure you once believed, but as the quiet warrior who carried you further than you ever knew. The hero you didn't understand, until you became strong enough to see her clearly.